Welcome to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast. I'm Priya Sharma, and joining me today is Arjun Gupta.
Hello, everyone. We're excited to dive into today's important judgment. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast if you enjoy our daily legal breakdowns.
That's right. Your support helps us reach more listeners and continue providing in-depth analysis of the latest court decisions. Now, let's get started with today's cases.
Today, we're looking at a particularly complex and high-profile indictment filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, specifically case number 24 CR 433. This indictment targets Gautam S. Adani, Sagar R. Adani, Vineet S. Jain, Ranjit Gupta, Cyril Cabanes, Saurabh Agarwal, Deepak Malhotra, and Rupesh Agarwal, accusing them of a sprawling scheme involving bribery, securities fraud, and obstruction of justice.
This case revolves around an Indian renewable energy company, part of a larger conglomerate, that allegedly engaged in a scheme to bribe Indian government officials to secure lucrative solar energy supply contracts. Let's break down the key players and the allegations.
The indictment alleges that senior executives of the Indian Renewable Energy Company conspired to misrepresent their anti-bribery practices to U.S.-based investors and international financial institutions while simultaneously bribing Indian officials. This deception, the indictment argues, enabled the company to secure billions of dollars in financing for green energy projects.
The indictment delves into a lot of intricate details regarding the company's structure, its subsidiaries, and the various entities involved. This complexity underscores the intricate nature of these alleged offenses.
The indictment also touches on the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, FCPA, a crucial piece of legislation in international business transactions. The FCPA aims to prevent American companies from bribing foreign officials to secure business deals. The indictment alleges that the defendants knowingly and willfully violated this act.
The FCPA is a powerful tool that can hold companies and individuals accountable for their actions in the international arena. Let's unpack the specific ways the defendants allegedly violated the FCPA.
The indictment alleges that the defendants, specifically Ranjit Gupta and co-conspirator number 2, conspired to corruptly offer bribes to Indian government officials to ensure state electricity distribution companies would enter into contracts with the Solar Energy Corporation of India, SECI. SECI, a state-owned company, played a key role in facilitating the purchase of solar power from the Indian Energy Company.
This is where the manufacturing link project comes into play. The indictment states that this project, a massive solar energy undertaking, was anticipated to generate significant profits for the energy producers involved. The scheme, it alleges, was driven by the desire to secure these profits.
The indictment details the intricate mechanics of the alleged bribery scheme, including how the defendants allegedly used various means, including electronic messaging applications, to coordinate their efforts. The indictment even describes how bribes were allegedly tracked through Bribe Notes that identified the target officials, the bribe amounts, and the expected solar power purchase in exchange.
The indictment alleges that the defendant's scheme went beyond bribery, encompassing a broader conspiracy to obstruct justice. This involved allegedly concealing the bribery scheme from U.S. authorities, destroying evidence, and providing false information to investigators.
The defendants also allegedly engaged in securities fraud and wire fraud. The indictment details how they used misleading statements and omissions to convince investors in the U.S. and elsewhere to invest in the Indian Energy Company's securities.
This is where the concept of materiality comes into play. The indictment alleges that the defendants made false statements about their anti-bribery practices and commitments, knowing that this information was material to investors making investment decisions.
This deception, the indictment claims, allowed the Indian Energy Company to secure billions of dollars in financing for green energy projects, including the corrupt solar energy supply contracts.
The indictment further alleges that the defendants continued to engage in these fraudulent activities even after becoming aware of U.S. government investigations. This highlights the persistent nature of their alleged scheme.
This indictment raises several important legal questions. Firstly, how will the courts interpret the application of the FCPA in this case? Secondly, What is the burden of proof required to establish a conspiracy to commit securities fraud? Finally, how will the courts evaluate the impact of the defendant's alleged obstructive actions?
It is crucial to remember that the indictment merely outlines the allegations against the defendants. They are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
This case is significant as it highlights the growing focus on holding companies and individuals accountable for corrupt practices in the international business arena. The FCPA has become a crucial tool in combating bribery and corruption, and this case will likely have substantial implications for how companies operate in the globalized economy.
The outcome of this case will undoubtedly shape the future of corporate responsibility and compliance with anti-corruption laws. And that wraps up our analysis of today's judgments. We hope you found our discussion informative and engaging.
Before we sign off, we'd like to remind our listeners once again to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you daily updates on the most important legal decisions.
Absolutely. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another exciting episode. Until then, this is Priya Sharma.
And Arjun Gupta, signing off. Thanks for listening to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast.